Welcome to Los Angeles, a beloved city known for its rule by automobile, where parking reigns supreme, where people go on their Humvees and Fords and lowriders and tear up the roads. A city where being a pedestrian is dangerous, where cycling gets you laughed at. But what if it wasn't? Inspired by Ciclavia in Bogota, Colombia, every year Los Angeles hosts multiple Ciclavia events, the most important of which being the Heart of LA, taking place in downtown and showing just how bikeable and safe Los Angeles can be for cyclists and pedestrians. If there's anything I want you to take away from this video, it's that there's a lot of demand for good, quality cycling infrastructure in Los Angeles, and that cycling creates a whole different avenue for creating social connections and a stronger city. So let's begin. For much of my life, I did not know how to ride a bicycle. I didn't find there was any need for me to learn because there was nowhere for me to cycle to. And since I didn't have that great of balance, I just kinda gave up after the tricycle. However, now that I'm older and have learned how to cycle around, I have found that I feel far more free, especially compared to how I feel when I drive. When you drive, you feel like you're compacted into a small space, that you're always looking out for people who are either drunk, on drugs, and can hit you and ruin your life at any moment. I've seen multiple people on the side of the road, their heads bleeding. It's not a pretty sight, and it's not safe. In fact, statistically speaking, driving is almost as dangerous as gun violence in America. However, cycling gives a whole new avenue of freedom of movement and safety, especially for people of youth, especially if you need that job. A lot of people don't have another income because their kid, who's a teenager and is looking for a first job, needs a car to get to that job. If you had a bikeable community where you can bike to a town center or to a local center and get a job at a local corner store, that gives you an avenue for using your own community to get a start on making money, get a start on growing your sense of networking, and basically gives you more avenues other than taking out a whole mortgage just for a brand new or used car that will need thousands of dollars of maintenance in the future. I saw plenty of children and people who are elderly biking during this Ciclavia, and I think it's very telling that people of all ages can cycle and be safe, but with cars, you don't have that advantage. Infrastructure based around bicycles can be a lot more efficient as a use of space. For example, instead of having a massive 8-lane road, you can have a 4 or 2 or 3-lane road that makes it so that people with movement disabilities can cross and have more freedom of movement. Instead of taking a minute plus just to walk across and needing someone to help them, they can have the freedom of choice to cross the road safely and not have to worry about heavy, large-scale incoming traffic. Not only do bicycles not need as wide of roads, they also damage roads much less than motor vehicles. In fact, their effect on roads might as well be negligible or about as much as normal weathering from wind, rain, and potentially less than that. This means that unlike car drivers, cyclists can actually pay off the damage that they do to the roadways. This creates a much more equitable system and allows for everyone's tax dollars to go much further as far as infrastructure is concerned. Not only that, but it's easier to teach how to fix bicycles. They are almost always fully mechanical, meaning that unless you have some specialized e-bike, and even then, those can be modular, you can fix your own bicycle. And that makes it so that you have a lot more freedom in how you can use your bike and how much you want to spend to fix it up. And it means that you don't have to go to some dealership to get some specialty warranty to fix up your own bike. You can do it. It's mechanical. You have the freedom to modify and fix your own property. Nowadays, cars are turning into basically giant iPhones with wheels, which means mechanics don't know how to fix them, they need super specialized parts just to fix them up, and the cost to fix them have gone sky high. If your primary mode of private transit is a bicycle, that means you're free from the fluctuations of gas prices on your daily commutes. It also means that you can be a lot more self-sufficient and choose where you can go, especially compared to how much you have to stick with road infrastructure if you're driving a motor vehicle. In short, bicycles offer more freedom. You don't have to pay for some bicycle insurance like is required with cars. You don't need to get a driver's license for a bicycle. You can buy a bicycle, borrow a bicycle, and just use it wherever you can as long as the infrastructure is there for it. And even if there isn't, if you have a low traffic area, it is still very safe to ride your bicycle, and it costs next to nothing for the city, which means it costs next to nothing for you on your tax sheet. And when you have less space dedicated to massive, heavy motor vehicles that are a drain on your local tax base, it allows for areas to become more pedestrianized. It allows for streets to once more be places of social interaction and productivity. More pedestrian space means that local businesses can open up little shops. You can have little parks in the road. You can have your children playing in the road safely and in comfort. You get less pollution, less noise, and if you apply the idea of eyes on the street as described by Jane Jacobs, you essentially get an self-policing organism that is your own community. It allows for stronger connections and a safer place to live. Take for example these dismount zones in Ciclavia. These dismount zones allow for more social interaction, as well as creating little pockets of business around them, which allows the community to become more self-sufficient and a better place overall to live. These pedestrianized zones allow for small businesses to take center stage, as well as for more social interactions to be more productive and occur in more natural, quieter places than on the side of a road next to a highway pretending to be a street. And because they cost so much less in maintenance compared to motor vehicle roadways, you have it being able to be scalable to much wider areas. It is a fact that not just due to induced demand, but due to overall maintenance costs, that car infrastructure does not make money. It is a monetary tax black hole that drains the wealth of cities and makes it so that places are monetarily insolvent. I'm not going to go too deep into it here, or even in this video, but if you want to learn more about financial solvency in cities, I recommend looking up the organization and movement called Strong Towns. There's a lot of great videos about them and by them on YouTube, and further out in the internet, they have their own course that allows you to become more educated on financial solvency for cities, on accounting, and how all that is done on a municipality level. This means that pedestrianized infrastructure is both better in the long run and is better for a human scale city where you feel like you are in place, in a human scaled place, instead of a place scaled for cars and giant billboards, and that makes you feel like you're not supposed to be there, in the habitat that humans have created for ourselves. But as amazing as bicycles and the opportunities they create are, there are still problems. A main one I personally encountered during the Ciclavia was hills. LA might be a flat city, but it's not always a flat city, and the second you encounter a hill on a bicycle, it is incredibly strenuous. One solution to this problem are e-bikes. Now, you can pretty easily modify your bike to become an e-bike just with a little battery pack. However, e-bikes can go a little too fast for bicycle infrastructure. Part of bicycles' strength as a mode of transport is that they're fast, but not too fast. Fast enough to be efficient, but slow enough not to hurt you so much if you get into a crash or have to stop to avoid someone. E-bikes remove that safety bit because they can go 25, 30 miles per hour, which can be very dangerous in a crash. Unfortunately, American kids, especially in Los Angeles, once they have an e-bike, tend to go crazy, doing dangerous wheelies, rushing by people at unsafe speeds, and at that point, once you get an e-bike, it becomes a necessity to maybe have some sort of license. Such a thing doesn't legally exist yet, but it is some food for thought, and parents should be aware, do not give your child an e-bike unless you are in a very hilly place where they need it to get around. I am of the opinion that once a bike turns into an e-bike, it goes from being just a normal mode of transit to becoming a vehicle that you need to be far more responsible for and with. Another problem is carrying capacity. Bikes do not have as much storage as a car. It's just a fact. There are, however, a lot of cargo bikes that can carry a lot of stuff, including children and including other people and groceries. They are quite popular in the Netherlands and Japan, and I've seen some of them around Los Angeles. Unfortunately, they are a lot more expensive, however. And lastly, all of this bicycle infrastructure sounds great and would be amazing to have. However, cars still exist, and cars still need some form of infrastructure. So while you can block out cars from certain areas and make bicycle only or bicycle prioritized areas, if you have too many cars in an area, that could be overridden. The key to this is to make roads have design speeds around the bicycle. Make them narrow enough that cars can go through, but not speed, otherwise they just get stuck. You can still accommodate cars, however, it shouldn't be a main focus of a city. A city should be focused around the people, not motor vehicles that destroy them. Parking minimums, garage requirements, all of that causes thousands of extra dollars in construction and maintenance costs for a property, and requiring it on every inch of space causes massive cost overruns in our infrastructure. Cars can be accommodated, but they should never be the priority, especially in the center of the second largest city in the United States. You can have special loading zones for deliveries, you can have narrower roads to allow cars to go through, but not to speed, and all of that, including modal filters, can create a place where cars are able to at least interact with, but not be the priority. And for a city where pedestrians should come first, where people should come first, and creating social interactions, making it so that people can live in flexible, multiple different ways, I think that is very important. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this video both entertaining, educational, and informative, and gave you some food for thought. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Please leave a like and subscribe and comment down below to let me your thoughts. I know that urban planning and urbanism and modes of transit can be very hot topics, very strenuous, and bring out a lot of rage in the general public. I've been to community planning meetings, I've seen it. There are so many different perspectives that need to be taken into account, but for me personally, the main thing should be city flexibility and lifestyle flexibility, and you can't do that by prioritizing cars to the maximum degree that the United States and especially Los Angeles has. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.